people like to work with successful people like to work with other successful people. And so it doesn't matter whether or not they're your open houses or not, or your listings. They just see you as someone who's doing open houses, and they're just assuming, or they're, seeing that you're doing this and that you have the business to do it. And that's really appealing to a lot of people.
Let me maximize it.
Maximize. Autobots roll out.
Oh, you almost sound like Optimus Prime.
That was pretty good.
That is
Couldn't
pretty
do
good.
that.
I love Optimus Prime.
Me too. He's the best. What's up, everybody? Hey, Jake, can you make sure chat is enabled so peeps can say hello to us? Let us know where you're from and where you're, I don't know. I guess that's all we need to know. Where you're from? Tampa, Austin.
Listen, Nick, where are you located?
Michigan.
What part of Michigan?
Clarkston.
Is that like in the middle of Michigan? Where?
No, it's about an hour north of Toronto. Is it Toronto? Hold on a second. I'm actually above Canada.
All right.
And I'm an hour north of Detroit.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah. How about you, Payson? Where are you located?
Palm Springs, California.
And
Palm
that's
Springs, California.
so people know where that
Yeah.
is. Where is that in California?
Southern California, about 2 hours from San Diego, 2 hours from Los Angeles.
Right.
I
Oh,
wonder why it's not as famous as. Isn't there a Palm Springs in Florida too?
There
Is
is.
Oh,
I
There
wonder
is.
who was first.
Yeah. I have no idea where. Sometimes I say Palm Springs, and then people are like, "Oh, Florida." I'm like, "Oh, my bad." So now I say Palm Springs, California.
that's good. I like that.
Yeah, I say Detroit, and they go, "Oh, France,
That's right.
Detroit." I'm from Detroit, so it makes sense.
I love
I'm like,
it.
yes, the south of France, actually.
Thanks for joining us. We've got Payson Robertson out of Palm Springs. He did 100 open houses in 100 days. He's still going. And I've got my friend, business partner, co-host, Nick Baldwin.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Well, why don't we also say that you guys in the viewing the webinar are seeing Tristan and I back in action. It's been a while since we hosted together.
It has.
So we're going to do that a little more often for you because it's fun. And Payson's now on 6,300 open houses, 6,300 days in a row.
2,000.
Yeah.
Plus,
why are you sharing your screen?
I'm going to go over and share the post that
here
really
we
got
go.
us into
Sweet.
this
Oh,
here.
wow. Okay.
So November 22nd, Payson decides, I'll let Payson tell the story, but outlines all of the open houses with the street.
Just in case we were wondering.
Yeah, just in case you were wondering if he was tracking.
Payson, if you were doing all these open houses, how did you have time to type all of those addresses? I mean, wow,
It took a minute.
55. You reached about 40% of the group. That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
That is amazing.
That
I was telling Tristan, it's funny, when I made the post, one of my mentors that morning was like, "Hey, you should make a post on my Facebook group and then put it on a few other Facebook groups like your guys' group about your open houses and like what you've gotten results from it and what you've done." And I was like, "Are you sure? I don't think it's going to be worth anything. Like, we just sat a bunch of open houses and we did transactions off of it, but I didn't think it was like a big deal." And then it blew up on your guys' Facebook group.
Yeah, well, I think it's a big deal. And there's one important question in the chat from Austin. How many cookies and chips and water bottles did you have to invest in?
None.
9 of them.
None.
Okay, great.
None. Zero.
None. Oh,
none.
Awesome. Okay, we'll get into that later. But what I was gonna ask you was, or say to you rather, was that it picks up traction because you're doing something that agents are not willing to do. And like
Mhm.
agents get in the business, I have no business. No one wants to buy a house for me. I don't have any clients. Like I compare it to Ken Posick, who now is like a master YouTuber, but his first 100 days in business in Orlando, when he moved to Orlando 6 years ago, he filmed 100 videos for 100 days. He did one video a day for 100 days, and that took his YouTube channel that let his YouTube channel take off. You're doing 100 open houses in 100 days, no excuses. You're not complaining that you have no business. You're going and getting it, and
Right.
I think that like people need to, whoa, that's crazy. People think it's crazy because they can't envision themselves actually doing that work. That's the problem. So you went and did it. So I just wanted to say congrats on that.
Thank you. I
I
appreciate
was,
it.
I just have a question before we start. What made you decide this is what I need to do?
I didn't have a ton of money at that time because so funny thing is I had 2 transactions at the beginning of last year till May. I had 30 transactions the following 6 months because of this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I didn't have a ton of money. I was depleting into my bank account at that point. And I was like, I saw a video on why you should do open houses every day. And it was just a hypothetical type video, like, hey, if you do them, like you should be able to get a transaction out of it. So I was like, well, I'll buy open house signs and I'll run with it. And I just started to run with it and it started to work. And so that's how I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this every single day. And now it's my core way of prospecting. And it's that one thing throughout every day where I don't like, I know I have an open house and I'm not moving that. I'm not changing anything for anyone else. Like that's my non-negotiable every single day is an open house.
Wow. Okay.
Every
That's
single
that's
day.
awesome.
And how long are you going to do this for? Is it still going on? What does this look
Yeah,
like?
so I mean now I haven't done so the first 100 I did it consecutively without a break. Since then
Okay.
I haven't. I still do between 7 and 12 a week, but I'll just double up on days. And some days I'll now actually take
Like you
off.
need to have a
So
day off once in a while.
right. So now
Nick,
once that's the that's the thing. I need a couple days off. My uh my girlfriend's kind of like, all right, you need
Right.
to you need to stop sitting in open houses every day.
She's
So
like, remember
um
me?
yeah, exactly. So I'm at 191 now is what I'm at
Oh,
total
wow.
since I started this.
And so how much business came from those first 100?
Uh the first 115 transactions came from
Holy
those
Nikes.
wait, can you repeat that, Payson?
15 transactions from the first 100.
And what
And
does
then
that equate
what's your
to in
average?
terms of
Yeah. What's your
like
average price?
It was just under 600,000.
oh, how old are you?
I turned 23 on Sunday.
Dude. I mean, Tristan, remember when we were 23?
No.
We were total like idiots.
This is my first year in real estate. I was 23, I
Was it
think.
really? Okay, I jumped in a few years later, but dude, that is insane. That's so you did 100 open houses, and if you want to add it up, like 15% of that, like you did 15 deals. That's 15% of the open houses. If you want to equate to it, put a percentage to it. 600,000 in GCI or 600,000 price point.
That's the average price point.
And so what was your GCI?
From those 15, it was just over 7 million.
Oh, you mean that's your volume?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
volume.
So
Sorry.
yeah, so you
I haven't
probably
had enough coffee yet.
all right, so you made probably like 200 grand.
Mhm.
That's awesome, dude. Good for you.
From like $500 in signs.
From $500 in sign. That's crazy. Payson, where did you get the inventory from? Because here's the
Yeah,
challenge.
that's a good question.
Most people look at this and say, well, I can't do that, or that's ridiculous. What we want to break down is how did you make this possible and how did you not overthink it? So where did you get the inventory?
Yeah.
I asked every single agent until I got an open house to sit repeatedly. So the easiest thing, like the script, literally is just, hey, this is Payson with eXp Realty. I'm calling about 123 Main Street. Can I sit in open house there from Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m.? And then usually, like if it's vacant, a lot of people are going to say no because their brokerage doesn't allow it or whatnot. So I just kept asking. But like someone's going to be like, why the heck would you sit that? Sure, if you want to, like I guess if that's what you want to do, go for it. And that's how it started.
Yeah, because you're doing open houses during the week when people are normally at work, right? And so they're
Mhm.
probably like, why do you want to do one at like 11 in the morning or whatever? Probably that's some of the feedback you get, right?
Yeah, yeah, and we have to sit. We have to sit vacant or like renovated staged homes. Ones that people live in, they don't like it. I have
Right.
a funny story with that one, but it doesn't work.
Okay. And
Okay,
so,
hold on that.
oh,
Oh,
go
go ahead,
ahead.
Nick.
No, you go ahead because I'm gonna
So
ask a different question.
on what else did you learn then? Is it you have to sit vacant homes, you do it at a certain time, do certain
Right.
times work better than others? How many open house signs? What did you learn from this that we can apply?
Yeah, good question.
Absolutely. So timing wise, so we're a big secondary home market. A lot of second home buyers, a lot of golf courses, pickleball, that type of stuff. So if we're sitting a second, like a house where there's secondary home, it's going to be a secondary home buyer. That we're trying to sit like 11 to 1 is usually the time that works. If it's a family home, we're sitting like 3 to 5 or 4 to 6 because we want to catch them after work.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I
Yeah, I
like that.
remember doing open houses during the week. If I ever had an open house like near a school, I would
Hmm.
do it around pickup, pickup
Hmm.
time. Because parents are like picking up their kids and they see the open house, they'll come in. So like I think also like where the house is located, depending on if there's heavy traffic, around that area at certain times of the day, that's also a good time to do it. So like, how would you market? What was the most effective marketing techniques that you use to promote an open house like during the
Hmm.
week that isn't like normally on like a Sunday?
It's just so it's social media on our stories, making a post on Facebook and Instagram about it. It's we cold call the neighborhood, inviting them to the open house to spark a conversation with them about them, what they like with the community and whatnot. And then it's just making sure it's on the MLS early enough. We always make sure it's on 48 hours in advance. Ideally, I like to set it up every Saturday for the next Monday, throughout to the next Sunday. So I'm
Okay.
always overlapping. But that's
Yeah,
really
I was
that's
gonna yeah, I was gonna say
it's
because
about simplicity.
if you have an open house every day, like how far in advance, like, if you have an open house on a Monday, you're promoting that open house probably the Wednesday or Thursday earlier, right? Like how is that how you set that up?
So yeah, every Saturday I'll set it up for tomorrow I'll set up Monday's open house
Okay.
is how I'll do it. And so Saturday I'll start posting about Monday through next Sunday's open house.
All right.
And where are a lot of the people coming from? Like when they walk into the house, do you keep track of where they saw the advertising?
Signs. It's
Oh,
our
really?
first question. Our first question we ask everyone is how they found us. That's the first question.
Signs. Okay, so let's talk about because I think a lot of agents take those signs for granted. How many signs are you
Yes.
putting out and where do you put them in relation to the house?
So this is the funny part because I hear some people say like put up 30 to 50 signs. I don't think that's repeatable doing this every day. I put out 6 A-frame signs. They're just big A-frame signs. They're 3 feet by 2 feet. And then we
Okay.
have stake signs where we can put them, but we're desert landscaping. So a lot of times we can't stake stuff in. So I
Yeah.
do it when I can, but it's not always. So sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's up to like 15. But it's always at least 6 A-frame signs.
I love it.
All right. Well, dude, take us through the preparation then. If you're having an open house, what's that checklist look like? Like, what do you go through typically? Calling, putting up signs, door knocking. What does this look like?
So Saturday's the setup of timing for open houses. Make sure they're on the MLS every Saturday. That's what we're doing. It's posting it on social media and on our stories. And then it's cold calling the community. We like to use Mojo Dialer to circle prospect. So we'll use the triple line dialer from Mojo, do the neighborhood search, and then pull the neighborhood. And what we're doing is we're inviting them to the open house. And it's not really for them to come to the open house. It's to spark a conversation to get talking with them because then they'll start talking about what they love and hate about the neighborhood and if they have friends moving or if they're thinking about moving. It sparks a whole conversation.
Mhm.
From there, we go. It's just continually posting about them, and then we're just setting up open house signs that day about 30 minutes early, and then just
Mhm.
making sure lights are on and everything. There's nothing special we have in the open house. We have our property flyers, a sign-in sheet that we don't make people sign in on, and business cards. And then what we'll usually have too, we'll prep before. We'll have a few different listings we know that are similar to the house we're sitting. But just slightly different because people are going to walk in and probably not like that house. It's not going to work for them. So we make sure that we have something else ready to go and know of stuff so that we could be like, okay, hey, you hate this house, or hey, this house doesn't work for you. But based on what you're saying, I know of a house across the street that's like that. I can send that over to you through text if that works.
That's awesome, man. And in the conversations that you have,
Mhm.
what would you say is the best tip for converting them to become a client of yours? Is it in the follow-up, or is it in the current conversation when they're in front of you?
It's the initial conversation for sure. Like my goal is to like make them like amped up and excited by the time they leave the open house about buying a house with us. Like I want them to be like, how do we get back in touch with you, or how do we set up the next appointment with you? Like I want them to be excited about working with us. That obviously doesn't always happen, so we're still have to be really good about follow up. But majority of the time, it's like dang, like let's make sure we're really making them excited. I had one person, because I don't ever like to ask people if they have an agent walking in, but if they tell me they have an agent, I'm not going to push on them. I'm not going to take the client from another agent. But I had someone, I'm talking with them for probably 10-15 minutes, and after that they're like, I'm going to fire my agent and I'm going to work with you. And I was like, oh. And they worked with me. So the whole goal is to just make sure that we're having a great conversation where we really understand their wants and needs. And that's what it's about.
So there is a question in the chat, a pretty quick question. How many on average, like, and I'm sure it depends on the day, how many people are typically coming into these open houses?
From 0 to 5 groups.
Okay. And you probably see the most groups like when, like later in the day or weekends.
It's completely sporadic and random. Like there's like I could tell you like, man, Tuesdays 11 to 1 are the best, and the next Tuesday I have 0 people.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I like it's completely random, and that's why I've just focused on the consistency of sitting them every day. We're
Yeah.
sitting at
Yeah.
least 7 a week. Is
Yeah.
because you never know when people are going to walk in. You don't know who's going to walk in. It may only be one person, but they may be the person ready to buy right now.
Let me ask you this. Because I always think like, when you invite the neighbors to an open house, I always found that to be a successful strategy because they'll get to see, how the house looks, how you market it, etc. Have you gotten listings from this, from homeowners, while you're talking to them and you bring up the fact that you do an open house a day, or you do 2 open houses a day? Did they hear that and then they're like, wow, like this kid is motivated and I'm going to work with him because of that? Does that come up? Is that sometimes a reason why they decide to hire you?
Yeah, I signed 2 this last weekend because of that specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I would find that to be super, a really good reason as to why someone would hire you, because you're out doing what no one else is doing. Right? They're
Right.
probably like, well, I had an agent before. They didn't do any of this, right? Like that's probably a conversation that you have.
Hmm. Yeah, it's exactly like I within the first 30 days, that's what happened. And that's what kind of made me sold on it. Was like, wow, like people really appreciate and like this. And in the first 30 days, I had 2 people walk in from the open house signs, weren't looking at buying. They lived in the neighborhood across the street. They ended up selling their house with me and buying another one for about 2 million in volume. And I was like, I'm in.
And
I was like, I'm
also, I
sold.
would I would also assume that, look, for a new agent doing this, there is a perception, there's optics from the consumer side. This kid does an open house a day. How many listings does he have? How much business is he getting? People like to work with successful people like to work with other successful people. And so it doesn't matter whether or not they're your open houses or not, or your listings. They just see you as someone who's doing open houses, and they're just assuming, or they're, seeing that you're doing this and that you have the business to do it. And that's really appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah,
Don't
people
you
don't
think?
ask if it's our listing. They don't like, as long as you're in the open house, you know what you're talking about. You're confident. Like people don't ask if it's your listing, like, oh, is this your listing? And if you say
Yeah.
like, it doesn't come up. So people love that we're doing it, and it's made like my entire business has blown up because of doing open houses. Like, because we're posting about it every single day on social media.
Yeah.
And when I say we, I started a team. There's 13 of us, and we all sit open houses every day. That's how all of us work. So whenever I say we, I'm just talking about how we now all do this. Um, but we all post about it every single day. And because of that, like, I have people calling me now, like, hey, we see what you're doing. We're looking at buying or selling, or hey, like, hey, we see that you're sitting open houses. Like, we have a friend that's looking to sell. Like, I signed a listing for 1.4 million
Ooh,
just a few days ago.
nice.
Like, hey, we see what you've done every single day on Facebook. Like, you're consistent, you're working your tail off. I have a friend that wants to sell. They sat down with me and they're like, all right, let's list the home. Like, it was the easiest thing because we're just showing that we're always working.
You know, it's interesting that, you know, what you're saying is something that um I teach a lot about in terms of marketing and branding, where you're capturing the curious, you're attracting your customers, you're not going out and getting your customers. And I think that the successful agents out there who do attract, it's because they have something they're known for. So I'll use some examples. So I mentioned Ken Posick before, you know, his YouTube. Or there's a agent named Matt Miali in Connecticut who only does client events. They do one client event a month, and they did 600 units last year. So then you have another agent named Vanessa Pollock from New Jersey who has a whole charity that donates instruments to elementary schools so they can keep their music departments. And so, like, these are things that these agents are known for, and a byproduct of that is the sale of homes. So, like, they don't outbound prospect, and neither do you. And I think, like, if an agent can think of a way like this to get people to call them, they're going to feel like they're not going to get burnt out, first of all. And it's going to be so much more rewarding because people are actually calling you. I want to work with you. And you're getting more yeses, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, dude, hold on. It's not easy work either.
Oh,
It's
no, it's not. I'm not
like
saying it is,
somebody,
but it's enjoyable.
well, hold on,
I
Payson.
love it.
Did how did you decide to do 100 open houses in 100 days?
It
And
started with 30. I started with, I'm going to give myself 30 days to do 30 open houses. And I love the results from it. And because of that, I was like, I'm getting to talk with people every single day. Like,
Yeah.
this is so easy. Like, they're coming in and wanting to talk to me.
how
I was
did
like,
you
why
feel?
don't I just
How did you feel on the days no one showed up? Were you like, it's a waste of time initially, or how did it feel?
initially I was like, man, this sucks. But I was always so like I always have my laptop out and I'm always working. Like, I'm always
Yeah.
either setting up, I'm on Follow Up Boss and I'm following up with clients from the previous open houses.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm still cold calling. I'm working on social media. I'm writing an offer. I'm following up on emails. I'm like, there's always something to be done while
Yeah.
we're sitting there. So if it's dead, it's not a loss because okay, we made what I feel terrible if I have to cancel an open house or not do one because I'm like, man, that could have been the one day I had one person walk in and want to buy or sell.
Yeah.
So I'm still happy now knowing, okay, I sat this, no one came through, but I now know I did what I was supposed to do and just someone didn't show up today. Like,
And by
I
the
at least
way,
know I gave my all.
when you say you're cold calling, you're circle prospecting.
We're circle
I
prospecting.
don't think that's cold calling. I feel like that's information calling because you're
I
just
like it.
calling to tell them that there's a house that's on the market and you're holding an open house for them. You're not asking for their business.
Well,
I mean,
what
maybe you are. I don't know, but
when we're in open houses already, we've already cold called to invite. When we're in open houses, I'm usually calling for other buyers in specific neighborhoods, asking if they're interested in selling for that buyer.
oh, I
And
gotcha.
I'm
Okay.
calling like, hey, I have a buyer interested
Yeah,
in
because you
buying in your
do.
neighborhood. Yeah.
No, but what I was saying before was like, of course, nothing is easy work, right? That's why it's called work. But I'm saying I feel like after a while, when you're consistent with something like this, when people are calling you because of
Hmm.
what you're doing, that then turns into so much more of a gratifying experience, and you just want to keep on going. Like, I feel like a lot of agents, when they cold call expires and FSBOs, they give up because they'll do it for a week and get a million no's or get no appointments, and that can be very defeating. Whereas this, if you keep doing it and you're physically out in the world, and that also has a feeling of getting and going and doing something. Do you know what I mean? That can also make
Exactly.
you feel
It's true.
more
true.
I
psychologically.
feel like I have to get out. Like I feel like I can't sit in my house all day. Like I have to get out and be moving. And I love the face to face of it. Like I feel so much more confident like knowing I could convert a lead in person than I do on the phone. And I started when I got my real estate license with cold calling because I started during COVID and I couldn't do open houses. So I was cold calling to get business initially. But like I love open houses. I love talking with people. I have such a great time just getting to learn about different people and what they do, you know, and why they're looking to do what they're doing. I think it's a blast.
Hey, there's a question from Andrea. What's the follow-up process that you use?
So I always love to call people the day after. If so, there's two different things. I have people that walk out the door and they're working with us by the time they walk out the door, and those are going to our lender or we're setting up showings with them. And then there's people that maybe it wasn't a amazing conversation like that. So with those people, we're calling the next day and asking for feedback on the house, whether it's our listing or not, because it's a great way to start a conversation. It doesn't feel like we're trying to sell them on working with us or anything. They go over what they hate about the house because I'll be like, hey, what do you hate about this house? And then I start to just go back to, okay, so they're looking for this 4 beds, 3 baths with a pool, 2,000 square feet. And I'm like, hey, I actually know of a few like this. If you'd like, I'd be more than happy to send those over to you. And if those look like something that's appealing to you, I'd be more than happy to set up showings. And we just kind of go from there. And we just try and every time we're following up with them, I like to send them houses that fit within their buy box. And I specifically will list each house on what the pros and cons are based on their criteria that they told me on that call.
Here's what works, man. And a lot of people miss this, and not just in real estate, in all different businesses. But that's consistent, massive action. And what you did is you just went
Hey, that's a CMA, Tristan.
consistent. Oh, yeah, CMA. I like that. I like the acronym.
Hey,
The real
you can
CMA.
you can
The
have
real
that
CMA.
one.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. The real CMA. Thank you, Nick. Payson, I think people miss it because they think it's too hard, too much commitment, and sometimes they don't have clarity. And I found that really early on when we went all in. For us, it was online leads. When people are like, "You're spending how much, and how many leads are you getting a month?" It's like thousands a month. But what we found really quick is that massive action over a long period of time allowed us to succeed in ways other people will never succeed. And that's why I love what you're doing, because we can take the idea behind it and really apply it to a lot of things, which is mailers, YouTube, events, door knocking, open houses. But most people that are listening in are like 100 days, 100 open houses. That's just, that's too hard. That's
Crazy.
not,
I can't
no,
do
it's
that.
not. No. And
I got
that's the
stuff to
problem.
do.
Payson, how do you stay motivated for this?
I I love making money. That's the
There
I
you
have
go.
I have really big goals beyond just selling real estate. It's why I got into real estate was to make enough money. I want to buy really big commercial. That's what I got into this for. And I didn't have family, friends, or anyone in this or in real estate at all. So I was just like, I just have to start from the ground floor and sell as much real estate as possible, use that money to buy real estate. And that's what's keeping me motivated. Like I still haven't even hit where I need to be. I'm not even close to it right now. I bought a few properties, but I'm still not close to where I want to be. So that's what that and family, like I'd love to retire my dad. He's a sheriff out here. That's a big motivator for me. So there's a few different things like that where it's like I want to make sure my family's set up. I want to get my dad out of his job because he's a sheriff for us. That's why he went into that job to have a steady income for me as a kid. I'm now grown up and I'm doing well. So now I need to figure out a way to return the favor. So that commercial real estate, like it's beyond just, selling houses. Like this isn't just about selling houses to me. It's a lot bigger than that.
Hey, Payson, I wanna give you a little bit of advice too. You
Mhm.
forgot to mention something. You forgot to mention that you might want to marry your girlfriend. You're 23 years old. She might want to get
Oh,
married. You might want to save for a wedding. But
oh, I'm working on that stuff.
if that's
I'm
not
working.
in the cards, let's just forget I said anything.
No, I'm working on that stuff too. I am working on that. It's not
we
it's
can
not
we
going to
can
be
edit
cheap.
that out. No, I'm just kidding.
It's not going to be cheap. So
I love that.
Nice, dude. You should get married in Michigan. My wedding was 17 grand. Well, that
really,
was 17 years ago. It would probably like would be 30 grand today.
It was in the middle of snow, winter. They
It
had
was
to.
in November. I got married on Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah.
that's
We
funny.
had 200 people there. It wasn't a small wedding, but it's the Midwest is better prices.
Yeah,
Well,
but
yeah, it's freezing over there. My girlfriend's doing a master's program at
that just
Notre Dame
not
right
gonna
now,
happen.
and it's negative. It's gonna be like -6 degrees when she goes back in the next
Yeah,
few days. So I
dude,
bet it's cheaper.
not cheap. Yeah, Payson, with open houses, the cool thing that I love is now you built a team on a concept that worked for you, and you have all of these signs. Because let's say you go with, you said 6 A-frame signs minimum, right? Now
Mhm.
you put 6, and everyone else around town on your team has 6. It has a phone number, same brand. They're like, why are you guys everywhere? This is beautiful.
Yeah.
When it comes to open houses, how how many consecutive days do you hold the same open house? Is there a system for that, or do you alternate?
It's as long as it's fruitful. I've sat one house, I think 45 days. I literally started joking about it on social media. Like, I think I'm just living in this house. I'm gonna move a bed in at this point because I'd sat it so many times. So as long as it's fruitful, like as long as we're still getting people coming through, I'm not stopping. If we have like multiple days where we just don't have anyone through, I'm like, okay, I think I fried this house. Like, I need to probably move to another house. But as
Mhm.
long as it's fruitful, we have people coming in, then we're good with it. So it could be, I've sat one, I think as much as 45 days
So,
consecutively.
oh wow, okay. Hey, so let me ask you this because we were mentioning your team before. So you have a team, right? So how
Mhm.
many agents on your team with you?
There's 13 of us, including me.
Holy smokes! Well, so when did that like evolve? When did that start
At the
to
same
evolve?
time as when I started the open house stuff.
Okay.
I started everything at the exact same
Are
time. I
you
had
the
two
head of the
agents,
team or are you on the team?
head of the team.
Okay, so as soon as you started doing this, then you just started bringing in people?
Yeah. So I had two guys with me as soon as I started doing the open houses. And then we started to all have success. So then other people started to want to join. And then now it's just this growing thing. Like we just onboarded 2 more agents last week, and it continues to keep growing. We haven't even started recruiting or anything yet. We're not reaching out. We're just, people are coming to us because they see what we're doing on social media and how
Yeah.
well it's working with open houses. So
Yep.
it's great for now. It's been great. Social media is great for the open houses because it shows for clients that we're busy and we're doing the right stuff. And then it also shows for agents like, hey, we're doing something that's working consistently. Like this is
Which one's your car? Scroll up. Is it the
the
Corvette?
Corvette. Yeah,
Dude, I
I just
love
got it.
it so much.
All right, this is your social. You get some pretty decent shares. You get some
Yeah, look at that,
connections.
dude.
This is your Facebook.
Yeah, I use Instagram more than
This is
Facebook.
your
I just
Instagram. I like the mix. I love it. Oh, I like that. Let me go to the reels really quick so people can see what that looks like as far as promos.
Some good views on
These are the
those.
properties that you're just sitting in. Are you posting to
so
social daily times? What does that look like?
I'm now posting the social daily. That's my goal for this year is to post daily. So I always post on stories daily. Like I was really good about being on my stories so that way I could, capture my audience that's already following me. But now I'm also posting an actual hard post, whether it's a post or a reel, um, every single day.
You know what I love it too? You know what I love, dude? So many agents your age uh are just so arrogant. You know what I mean? Like they start making money and they're arrogant and they don't really showcase like what they're actually doing. They just talk about what they're doing. And You seem super humble, and you know, Tristan and I are pretty good judgments of like who flaunts their stuff and who's like or the real deal. I just want to say, like, you know, just in my experience, a lot of agents your age are just about flaunting, and I feel like, you know, he's the real deal. Like, he's humble, he's nice, he's doing the work. He's not just like, and he deserves to show that Corvette. He's not just showing the Corvette and saying, you know, do you want to learn how I bought this Corvette? He's like, this is what we're doing in our business. Like, do you want to do that? You know what I'm saying? It's just a whole different mindset, and more people need to start taking note of that. I just
I
wanted to
think
throw that in there.
thank you. I think it just comes from like I have extremely humble beginnings. Like we moved around a lot growing up. We struggled as a family together. That's why my dad got into what he does now.
Yeah.
So like I know where I came from, and I'm extremely grateful for where I'm at. And I'm not going to lose sight of where I came from because everything could be ripped away from me today.
Dude,
You know,
totally. I'm so
so
glad you said
it's
that.
it's
Glad you said that.
it wake up every day grateful for what I have and keep pushing forward. And now I'm super excited because I get to help other agents, people on my team, and other people that are joining me um, do the same stuff and grow into whatever they're looking to do.
Hey, Tristan, drop Payson's IG in the chat. People are
I'll
asking.
drop them in here. Payson, what social platform is performing the best for you right now for what you're doing?
Instagram by far.
Instagram? All right.
Mhm.
I'll dump that one in here right now. So
Yeah,
people
dump it. Dump it.
Yeah, Instagram by far. I'm most consistent with Instagram too. Like
Payson's getting
Instagram is
backup
my
offers in the chat. Sorry, someone said Payson's getting backup offers in the chat.
hold on.
I love it, dude. Hey, do you ever think about doing you know, because here's the thing, you know, like uh, you always have to be on your feet, right? Like with new strategies, you know, you're doing a lot of the open houses. I have a feeling like eventually your agents are going to be doing them. You're probably not going to be doing as many, which is great. You ever do buyer and seller seminars, like virtual stuff, so you don't have to like always be rushing around? You ever do that
we're
stuff?
we're starting to incorporate those. So we started to incorporate those last year right before the summer, and then we haven't, and they were doing really well. And then we started the open house stuff. So now that I have the open house stuff down, we're going to start to bring that back in. We just haven't brought it back in yet, but we've done two of them and they did great. So I'd
Okay.
like to do it. What I've learned about me is I have to really implement something and make sure it's set in stone for me before I
Yeah.
jump to the next thing. I used to be very much a shiny object person. So I make sure something is like ingrained into me before I go to the next thing.
Yeah, that's good. Someone's wondering, do you run ads and what do they look like? I'm getting the feeling like you're just all organic. Okay, so you are, right? All right, yeah.
Yeah, we're running this just as lean as basically possible right now. So open houses and social media is really like our ways of generating business right now.
What's your strategy? Tell everyone, you know, because your reels have decent views, like, you know, 1,000 views, 1,500 views, and it's consistent. What how many times a day are you posting, and how are you able to avoid having to put money into those things?
So at least one post or reel a day is what we do, like one hard post or reel. Instagram rewards you for being consistent. So do all the other platforms. So if you're
Yeah.
consistent, they're going to naturally rank you higher. And then we're always posting on our stories. So the whole thing is so the reels and the post are to gain new followers. That's how we're gaining new followers. Stories is how we connect with those followers. So that's how they get to
Oh,
learn
that's good.
about us. That's why, like, where you saw me talking on my story, that's the way people get to know who I am. They know my mannerisms. They know what I like to do. Like, I'll talk about things that suck that day. I'll talk about how I just went and played pickleball with a friend and beat the heck out of them. Like, I'll talk about whatever it
Was
is
it
on my
Tristan that you
story.
beat in pickleball? Because he's really bad at it.
I haven't played with him yet.
Terrible.
So but I'm so like you get to see my like full authentic self on stories. It's like, you know, our ugly marketing, and then our reels are really what drives in our new traffic, our new engagement.
Love it, dude.
All right.
I
So if
love it.
people are wanting to duplicate a lesser form of this,
Mhm.
where would they start, Payson?
calling every agent until they have an open house to sit.
Do you only call agents at your company or other companies?
Everyone.
Oh,
It
okay.
does. We call, so now we've done so many now where we know where each of us on our team is best to sit based on what we know about the specific area and then the audience. So whoever the buyers are that coming in. So we're highly specific with where we all sit. Like it's extremely strategic now. In the beginning, it was just wherever we could get. Now it's like, okay, I know I live in Indio next to Palm Springs. It's a
Yeah.
bunch of family homes. I've pretty much lived in every neighborhood thanks to my parents. So I know them all really well. And because of that, I sit in North Indio. And if it's not my listing, it's someone else's listing, and maybe someone else at another brokerage. It doesn't matter. I'm just asking people until I get one.
Dude, this built amazing relationships with agents over the last
Right.
6 months.
Dude, that's so important.
We have so many agents that ask us now every time they have listings to sit open houses. We have 30 plus agents that allow us to just sit open houses whenever we want on top of our own listings. And then it makes it a lot easier because they all know us. So then when we're writing offers on their properties, that makes it a lot easier too. So because they know who we are, we do what we say because we tell them, hey, we'll give you feedback every day on how these are going. We'll let you know what's going on because obviously it's a win for them and their seller too. So it's been a great win all the way around, I think, for everyone since we've started doing this.
Yeah, I love it.
So let me then challenge you and say you're not doing enough. What do you do now?
More.
What does more look like?
More consistently two a days or longer time. So reason why right now we do them in 2-hour increments, and the reason for that is because most people come within a 2-hour increment. So we're like, okay, we'll condense down to 2. But now because I have an admin and more help on my piece, I'm going to start to up them more because I don't have as much of a back end workload. So I could focus more on just meeting with clients so that way I could get them going on to the next stage. So more time.
Oh, I like
That's
it.
what more time or 2 different open houses in the same day.
Perfect. All right. Any other questions?
Very cool. No, I love it.
Hello from
I-
Minnesota. Oh, what's up? What's up, Shirley?
Hey, Cherlyn, what's up?
Like it.
It's colder in Minnesota than it is in Michigan, by the way.
Payson, if people have questions, how do people get a hold of you? Would it be through your Instagram?
Yeah, reach out to me through Instagram where I'm more than happy to help. I especially like I know for a lot of young agents like myself, I was so lost before getting into what I'm all doing. So like especially if you're young, you're hungry, you're looking to, grow a business, like reach out, more than happy to help whoever. Because I like 7-8 months ago, I was like, man, what do I do as my lead generation consistently? So yeah, reach out. Instagram. I think my phone number is on there too on my Instagram. So you could text me if you'd like, or look me up on Google and text me from there.
I love it.
Levi
Moore.
in the
Oh,
chat.
yeah.
Levi in the chat has a good. Payson helped me start my 100 days campaign, and it's going amazing. 12 days in, have made over 100 connections with prospects. Love it. It's all about connections, baby.
It is all about connections,
It's
connections
also
and
all about the
consistency and follow up.
Benjamins. Just saying. It's all about the
I like that.
things like these guys.
so
are
much,
all-
man.
Listen to them.
Thanks for
Thank
doing
you.
it. Everyone, thanks for joining us. Nick,
Thanks, everybody. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
have an awesome day.
You as well.